What's up YouTube? UAV Mark here with my first ever, probably my last ever, maker video showing, as requested for somebody, showing how I made my DIY fidget spinners. Right, I'm not going to try to drag it on too much. I'm not going to do a full make, but what I will do is I'll try and drag out some links to where I got the bits and bobs from. So you'll just have to wait till I can get hold of them, obviously. Right, we'll start with this one. This cool little fidget spinner. What you all need, bike chain. I think there's 18 links there, standard bike chain, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah, there's 18 links. Right, to make that, what you will need is, obviously, I'm using standard bearing. I've got my screwdriver to take the top off, but never mind. Yeah, standard bearing, like so. I've obviously got one from one of these spinners, and yeah, I've got the button from one of those cheap spinners. So that's that out the way. I'll use this bearing there. What you got to do, get your chain and just do that. Simple as. Then you get your first tie wrap, and I'll post a link to these cheap tie wraps, but they're quite you can get these anywhere. I think they're a standard sort of tie wrap, so no worries there really. I use 2 tie wraps, and you just go in the first side. Hold on, let me hold it in place. Buckling this up already. But it's not hard to make really. You make the shape like I'm trying to do. Then you'd get your tie wrap, put it in the first 2, and you're trying to leave the end so it's like so. Then you'd get the second tie wrap, and you just repeat the process. So that's tied in there, so you've got the middle tie wrap together like so. Then once the middle's tie wrapped together, you start on one side and just fold it under. Got those 3 close together, and you just tie wrap those together like so. Put in there, through there, then you tie wrap it as tight as possible. Obviously I'm not going to make it because I can't bother, but that's the process to make that. Then you've got that using the tie wraps. You can move it like that, but obviously once you put your bearing in, it becomes stiff enough. All you've got to do is pull the tie wraps as tight as you can. I did use pliers to pull the tie wraps really tight so it keeps its shape. Forgot the pliers, so that's why I'm not going to make that now. And I need this to demonstrate that one. So there you go. It's all held together. You can change its shape up, down. That gives the best spin without shaking. And then you've got the wobble, like so. Anyhow, that's the first one. Now moving on to this fidget spinner. Now this fidget spinner is a completely different ball game. Put that out of the way there. Excuse my mumbling, I will mumble. I tend to mumble when I'm doing these type of videos, because nothing's planned, so don't expect me to sound professional or anything. This is a requested video for somebody, you know who you are. Big up to you. Right, this fidget spinner, you do need certain things, and I will post a link. Right, if you look at this fidget spinner, let's start with the chain. Obviously you've got a linker chain to like so, and once you've made that, then you've got the circle. You can look at the previous versions of this, will give you the idea of how it started off. I started off with just the chain. Then you will need epoxy, cheap epoxy resin, like so. Then you will need something for the inside, because without that, that won't fit. So what I found was magnetic tape. Good thing about magnetic tape is it's obviously it's sticky on one side, and I use that stickiness to stick on the inside of the circle that you made with your chain. Once that's stuck in, you can then start sticking the bolts and the balls on and using a bit of resin to glue everything and stick, because there's quite a lot of actual resin in this. Right, what I did, where I got the balls from, Newton's Cradle, cheap Newton's Cradle. This was about £1 from Amazon, one of the cheapest Newton's Cradles you can get, but it does come with nice balls, and each of the balls has a lug on. And what I did, I cut the string there, tied a knot in the string, and I used the string as well for extra adhesion. So when you've got the circle chain like so, it will then fit snugly into the gap like that. With epoxy resin, big blob of epoxy resin, hold that in place. You have to do one at a time. It does take a while to do if you want to do it properly, but blob of epoxy, then that's glued in there. Right, those are the balls. That's the balls out the way. Next we have the bolts. If you look on there, what I had bought was a cheap pack of nuts and bolts from Amazon, a couple of quid as well. I'll see if I can dig out the link for this. It had all sorts of bits and bobs in, so you can personalise your own, because you've got all these bits. What I started off with was firstly a bolt. So you got your nuts and bolts. Use this for example. So firstly I'm using a bolt, then I've got washers, then I've got 2 more bolts, and say for example that was the starting bolt, and then it fitted perfectly in there with a bit of epoxy resin in, and that's the bolt done. Bit of fiddling about, but you can make your bolts longer or shorter. When you've got all the bolts epoxied in, everything's feeling quite sturdy and all the epoxy's gluing, what I finished off with was putting a blob of epoxy on each bit, just for a little bit of extra security, just to hold things in place a bit more, and also to be a bit more comfortable when you're flicking it and when you're fidgeting with it. For the button, this was basically a standard button like that, and I just got a nice little coin, 2 coins. I think these are 6p pieces from 1955. Glued them to the button, and that makes a nice professional metal feel all around the spinner. I would say out of my 2 spinners that I've made, the 2 favourite ones that I've made, this is my best spinner, or the most comfortable one for fidgeting with, because it just feels so comfortable with the balls. You got the washer. There's no hot spots on this whatsoever, and when you finish it with a bit of resin, it's really solid, really heavy, really nice to play with, really stable. This is my go-to spinner. This is the spinner I always play with. You can even balance another spinner on top of it, it's that stable. For example, hold on, what am I doing? Messing this up. So that's like 2 spinners. Oh, there you go. Knew I wasn't going to do this. There you go. Just about doing it. It falls off. It's quite stable. To balance another spinner on top of that, and you can really spin this one fast. You hear it. Really nice spinner. Really stable. Can do with tricks with it and all sorts. And it doesn't have any of that wobble or anything. So this is my best spinner. This spinner is pretty good, that you can mess about with it and change it and do different things with it and change its shape. And you can make it do the wobble dance, as I call it. You can spin it without actually flicking it, just by shaking it. like so, making it unbalanced. But yeah, both good spinners. Both. This one's obviously a lot easier to make, a lot quicker. I'd obviously make this one first, then you'll need to get your bits and bobs to make this one, which is more professional one as far as I'm concerned. I really love this spinner. It's one of my most favourite spinners, and I made it. So hope you guys appreciate the video and you can make the two spinners. We'll get around to posting some links for tie wraps used and stuff I got off Amazon and blah blah blah. So that's me out. Have a good day. See you all.